This is a production of Red Earth Theater Company's online play project. For more information, visit redearththeater.org.
Well, welcome everybody to the Culinary Arts Show, streaming live from Tlaquepaque and brought to you by Red Earth Theater and Can Sedona. We are very excited to be here with this very special show, which is a fundraiser for the Sedona Food Bank. And I'm Red Earth Theater. I'm Kate with Red Earth Theater. Those of you who might not have heard of us, we are a small, local, but very busy and productive theater group here in Sedona. We play with a lot of people, and it's very exciting to be playing with Can Sedona. And I'm going to bring on Tracy Shadley, who will tell you all about what Can Sedona is. Tracy, and I'm going to practice social distancing. We got this.
Okay. Hi. Hi. So Can Sedona was born out of love of the TV show Chopped. My friend and co-founder Heidi Danahy and I would sit and bet on who was going to win at the end of the show. And we had so much fun, we thought, how can we bring this to community? And after a lot of glasses of wine and a lot of thought, we came up with Canned, which was basically 4 amateur chefs, each representing a local charity. And every year the charity would change until the 4 winning charities came back for the championship. They came twice as winners, and you will meet the chef who competed for Red Earth later. And the name Canned comes from the entrance fee. Part of the entrance fee is everybody had to bring a can of food for the food bank, which is our umbrella charity. So here we are. We had something very different planned.
We had a great plan.
We did. More competition, which is what it was all about, friendly competition. But we had to make do.
And we did, because we're flexible.
We are flexible, yes. And thankfully, our competitors are flexible too, and you will meet them from home later on.
So, thank you.
Thank you.
And why are we here again? Tracy, what are we doing?
Donate, donate, donate for the food bank.
Yes, thank you. So you'll be seeing more of Tracy later, and you'll also be seeing the chefs. And we have a number of wonderful performers here, and I'm going to begin by reading a poem. It occurred to me as we did this, we're talking about food, but we're talking about being gathered around a table as a family, as a community, and all of us, no matter our circumstances, are at a table, whether it's the table of life or not. And we all go through the same processes for all of our lives. And I found this beautiful poem by Joy Harro. It's called Perhaps the World Ends Here. The world begins at a kitchen table. No matter what, we must eat to live. The gifts of earth are brought and prepared, set on the table. So it has been since creation, and it will go on. We chase chickens or dogs away from it. Babies teethe at the corners. They scrape their knees under it. It is here that children are given instructions on what it means to be human. We make men at it. We make women. At this table we gossip, recall enemies, and ghosts of lovers. Our dreams drink coffee with us as they put their arms around our children. They laugh with us at our poor falling down selves, and as we put ourselves back together once again at the table. This has been a house in the rain, an umbrella in the sun. Wars have begun and ended at this table. It is a place to hide in the shadow of terror. It is a place to celebrate the terrible victory. We have given birth at this table and have prepared our parents for burial here. At this table we sing with joy, with sorrow. We pray of suffering and remorse. We give thanks. Perhaps the world will end at the kitchen table while we are laughing and crying, eating of the last sweet bite. I'm now going to introduce Sandy and Tara, and we're going to have a quick look at all the ways we talk about food that has nothing to do with food, and over to Tara.
Food has made its way into our everyday language in ways that has nothing to do with food. Food for thought.
Have egg on your face. Put all your eggs in one basket. Bad egg. Walk on eggshells.
The icing on the cake. Piece of cake.
Best thing since sliced bread. A few sandwiches short of a picnic.
Apple of my eye. Big cheese. 2 peas in a pod.
Couch potato. Hot potato. Small potatoes.
Hard nut to crack. In a nutshell.
Have a lot on one's plate. Bite off more than you can chew.
Rotten to the core. In a pickle.
Simmer down.
Slower than molasses.
Too many cooks spoil the broth.
Tough cookie. Sour grapes.
Spill the beans. The whole enchilada.
Wake up and smell the coffee.
You say either and I say either.
You say neither and I say neither. Either, either, neither, neither. Let's call the whole thing off.
Well, you like potato, but I like potato.
Well, you like tomato and I like tomato.
Tomato, tomato,
Potato, potato. Let's call the whole thing off. But oh, if we call the whole thing off, then we must part. And oh, if we ever part, then that might break my heart.
So if you like pajamas and I like pajamas,
Well, then I'll wear pajamas and give up pajamas. For we know we need each other, so we better call the calling off. Let's call the whole thing off.
well, you say laughter, I say laughter.
I know, and you say after, and I say after. Laughter, laughter, after. Let's call the whole thing off.
You like Havana,
Yes.
I like Havana.
Well, you eat banana, and I eat banana. Havana, banana, banana. Let's call the whole thing off. But oh, if we call the whole thing off, then we must part. And oh, if we ever part, then that might break my heart.
You like oysters, but I go for oysters.
Well, then I'll take the oysters and give up the oysters. For we know we need each other, so we better call the calling off. Let's call the whole thing off. Let's call the whole thing off.
This is Steve Sadner and Jill Trenholm, our beautiful musicians for the night. Thank you so much. And now, over to you, Tracy.
Thank you. So before I introduce our 2 champions who cooked at home a wonderful recipe, I want to remind you why we're here. We're here to raise money for the food bank. Please, you could just press on your donate button. You can go directly to their website, drop off food, start your own food pickup party, whatever you want to do to help. So I'm going to take you to this video. Carl Samter was our champion in 2015, playing for Red Earth Theater. And Al Vanderput was 2016, and he played for Angie's House. They both came back at the 2018 championships. Carl was the grand champion, and Al was our first and so far only dessert champion, but we're going to change that. Sorry, Al. It'll happen. So that's it. Enjoy.
Hi everyone, welcome to Al's Kitchen. We are here today. We're going to cook you a dish. And just to tell you a little about ourselves, I won the 2019 Cannes Sedona Cook-Off Grand Championship. And Al, you won the what year?
Well, first of all, I coached Carl the first time he won, or he wouldn't have won, you know. So, and then I thought it was so much work, I thought next year I'm going to compete against him, and I beat him hands down.
I have no problem taking mentorship from anyone. As long as I win, I'm good.
Yeah, no matter how you do it.
I still love you, it's okay.
We're good friends, so we're going to start with a toast to wine.
I know.
And it came compliments of Gerardo's Italian Kitchen, our good friend, Chef Gerardo.
Which we both love. We
Yeah.
highly recommend all of you go eat there.
We'd like to see him compete against the two of us and see who wins.
Oh, I should love that. I totally do that. Cheers to that.
So what we're going to do is an entree that is a recipe I developed over the last 4 or 5 years. And I love it because you can make it in advance. So when you have guests over, you can drink with them, have appetizers with them, and relax instead of cooking in the kitchen. So it's a Panko chicken roulade. It's stuffed with, we forgot to get those out.
Which one?
Freshly blanched broccoli. And it's served with a side of not panko, it's basmati rice, marsala, mushrooms, freshly shaved pear, and what else?
As you see, the coach is always going to be the coach. I'm letting him decide what we're cooking today.
Oh, and toasted almonds. So we'll take a break a bit, and we'll get it set up, and we'll move on with the preparation.
All right, welcome back. So now we're going to go over all the ingredients we're going to use today to cook the chicken roulade. And Al, you want to explain
So what you start with first is a organic pounded flat 1/4 inch chicken breast. 1/4 inch is very important, evenly distributed so that it cooks evenly when you're baking it. It's done in a panko crumb with poultry seasoning. The egg wash is with Dijon mustard, and the poultry seasoning. And then the chicken is washed in the egg, dipped in the panko breadcrumbs, and then you roll each piece of chicken in the breadcrumbs in this previously blanched broccoli.
Sounds really yummy.
You bake it in an oven for 30 minutes. You can make it 2 days in advance, leave it in the oven covered, and pull it out and bake it. It's easy to prepare for 2 or 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, you name the number. It works very well.
We decided something quick, easy, and flavorful.
And it's my recipe I developed over the years.
Of course it is. Okay. As long as I have the W, that's all that matters.
So what we're doing here is preparing the egg wash. You use 3 eggs, a little bit of water, and it's kind of like Julia Child's. It's not so precise. You just put about 2 tablespoons of Dijon mustard, organic.
Salt.
Salt.
Always add salt and pepper, by the way, everyone. Always.
Before and after.
Seasoning.
It can be your
Always.
friend and it can be your enemy. Carl knows that.
I know that. I had 2 chefs who I actually had to coach me other than you told me this. And they always just stressed on it. Always.
And a little bit of garlic salt. And then Carl's going to show it how you professionally whisk
You mean to
this.
whisk this by professional?
Yep. Don't spill it.
Why would I spill it, Al?
So this is the egg wash that you'll dip the chicken that's been pounded flat to a 1/4 inch.
You really pounded it flat? That takes a lot of muscle.
One thing I forgot was
We forgot the seasoning.
the poultry seasoning.
Yum. The pet you hear in the background, that is Al's new dog.
Let me
wanna
show
tell
you
him
how
that
you whisk eggs.
I was doing it the gentle way. He's gonna do it the rough way.
By the
I
way,
tried
I'm
to
a
gentle.
retired dentist. So we'll show you how you do one.
Good.
So that's one. Egg wash.
Should we talk about washing their hands too? That might be something important to talk about. Always wash your hands before what? Cross-contamination, right, Al? Remember
Correct.
that when we competed? They were very particular about that.
Yeah, and
Very-
with COVID,
Oh,
we should be wearing
where's your
masks.
mask? There you are.
You gave me 2.
Did I give you 2?
Yeah.
Well, you pounded that one pretty good. I couldn't tell.
So we're doing 5.
5 of them. Because we have hungry youngsters behind the camera that are going to eat some of this, and they're going to tell us how they feel about it, and if they like it or not. So it's going to be really interesting.
This is kind of a
What if they
take
don't like
on
this?
chicken schnitzel or Wiener Schnitzel, but of course it's chicken, so it's chicken schnitzel, not veal.
There you go.
And one more.
Cheers to that.
Yep.
This is really good wine Gerardo gave us. Thank you, Gerardo, by the way, again. It's pretty good.
So I've got a nice white to serve with the dinner.
You get white?
Yeah. I generally drink red no matter what because I like it. I like Julia Child, that's what she says. But I am a great grease Erosite cook.
What do you think, Mia, so far?
Great with this.
Here, let's get you in the camera.
So,
This is one of them right here.
once you've done that, I'll demonstrate. This is the blanched broccoli. You lay it over
You can say hi, Liam.
and roll it. Hence the name
Liam,
roulade.
I want to get in the picture, come on.
And you're gonna put this in a baking dish, and you're gonna drizzle it
What do you
with
think, Liam?
a lot of melted butter. Everything's better with butter on
Is
it.
that okay? Good. Okay. That's what we want to hear.
Yum.
We're being taken over now.
Okay.
I will.
And you get the idea. You do the same with the rest of them.
Okay. Let me carry you. Well, now I gotta help him, okay? Alright. Are we gonna put it back on this dish, right? Again, no cross. This stuff called chicken does not go on cross contamination. No thanks. Same dish the chicken came off of.
So you can see how great this is starting
It's pretty,
to look.
doesn't it, everyone?
Yeah.
It's pretty.
Now, you have a choice. I've done it with broccoli today, but you can do it with asparagus, which is really yummy, especially if you use the white or the purple.
Whatever's in season,
Great
right?
presentation. You can use green beans. You just be creative. Do what you want to do. That's what great chefs do.
There
We'll
we
be
are.
back in a second.
We'll be back in a second. All right, sit down. All right, welcome back, everybody. Now we're gonna move the chicken and broccoli into a pan, which we're gonna put in the oven at, what do we have, Al?
450 degrees.
For, how many minutes, 20?
25 to 30, but if you have a meat thermometer, you bring the chicken up to a temperature when it's nicely browned of approximately 150 to 55 degrees. Perfect poultry is a 160. But before you do that, you drizzle it with lots and lots and lots of grass-fed butter.
Butter.
Melted.
That looks so yum, doesn't it?
Yum.
That is what makes food taste
So I like
yummy,
this
yummy.
menu.
Now, Al, if you don't use butter, you can use what other? You can use lard. You could probably use like
Lard?
Want to use lard?
No.
What are they thinking? Use margarine.
You could use olive oil.
Olive oil.
You can use avocado oil if you want to be a little bit healthier, but as we all know, great food
But we
isn't
always-
always healthy.
We always recommend don't use the good olive oil, not the stuff that's
EVO.
Don't use that.
Into
There's
the
no
oven.
flavor, none.
Set the timer on 25 minutes.
Well, we've just seen some children in the kitchen, and our very next episode is Children in the Kitchen. But I do want to remind you, you're inspired by that, right? Make a donation right now to the Sedona Food Bank, and we're going to do a little bit more about children. I have 2 quotes that I found. This is how children are about food. Roasted broccoli for dinner tonight, and the rave reviews are in. What is this? It tastes like hair, said one ungrateful child. And another father observed, there is little difference between how a horse eats hay and the way my children consume spaghetti. So we fortunately have Jill Trenholm, who wrote a song specifically about table manners. So over to you, Jill.
Thank you. Now, this is a song for kids, so if there's kids out there, listen up. This is a song about table manners, bad ones, and good ones. Yeah. Oh. Yeah. I used to eat like a slob, or talking a pig. I preferred to use my fingers. Yeah, that's what I did. My friends were disgusted. They wouldn't eat with me. I couldn't figure it out. But now I see. Sit up, Sit up, everyone. Now I have manners. I sit up tall, with one hand upon my lap, so my napkin does not fall. I hold my fork right. I sit up tall, and I chew with my lips closed tight. Excuse me, with my lips closed tight. But that's not all I did. Yeah. Listen to this. When I drank my milk, you could hear me slurp. And I ate so fast, which would cause me to burp. I'd take huge bites, stuff in a big hunk. I could hardly chew, my cheek stuck out like a chipmunk. Sit up, now I have manners. I sit up tall, with one hand upon my lap, so my napkin does not fall. I hold my fork right, I take a bite, and I chew, excuse me, with my lips closed tight. Now there's one more thing I used to do. Yeah, wouldn't lean over my plate, 'cause I thought it would hurt. So I wore my lunch on the front of my shirt. I wouldn't sit still, didn't think I was able, and I put my feet right on the table. Sit up, now I have manners. I sit up tall, with one hand upon my lap, so my napkin does not fall. I hold my fork right, I take a bite, and I chew, excuse me, with my lips closed tight. Thank you.
Everything on It by Shel Silverstein. I asked for a hot dog with everything on it, and that was my big mistake. 'Cause it came with a parrot, a bee in a bonnet, a wristwatch, a wrench, and a rake. It came with a goldfish, a flag, and a fiddle, a frog, and a front porch swing, and a mouse in a mask. That's the last time I ask for a hot dog with everything.
Food crosses cultures. And there are some amazing stories of how thinking about food and people in need created a pretty extraordinary experience in American history. And here to tell us about it is Michael Gallagher.
Now, when you're born in New York City with a name like that, you very quickly become aware of your Irish ancestry. So, Diagwit, which is hello in Irish. As with all nations, the long history of Ireland is steeped in joys and sorrows. The great poet William Butler Yeats once called it, quote, a terrible beauty, unquote. But I'm not here to discuss politics. I think we've all had more than enough of that. We are here to address hunger. This is a true story which starts out very grim, but if you'll stay with me, it has an ongoing, uplifting finish. Gortamor, or the Great Hunger, occurred in Ireland during the mid-1840s into the early 1850s. Often called the potato famine, it was indeed triggered by a complete failure of the potato crop, which was the primary food source for the native Irish, but especially the poor, who made up over 50% of the population. There were other contributing factors, but the final numbers of this mass starvation are staggering, and they speak for themselves. 1 million people died. Entire families were found deceased by the side of the road, their mouths green from eating grass. In addition, 1 million desperate men, women, and children emigrated from Ireland to North America, Australia, and to England to cities like Liverpool. 100,000 boarded disease-ridden, poorly maintained, and badly stocked vessels bound for North America, which came to be called coffin ships. I'm sure you can imagine why. Now, in 1847, the worst year of this tragedy, an unexpected display of generosity arrived from the Choctaw Nation here in America. Just 16 years earlier, the Choctaw had endured a 500-mile trail of tears that took them from their ancestral homeland in what is now Mississippi to a reservation in Oklahoma. But upon hearing of the suffering taking place thousands of miles away in Ireland, the impoverished Choctaws managed to send a donation of $170, which would be about $5,300 now, to the Irish people. Now, the Irish have long memories. That incredible gesture by the Choctaw Nation, and by extension, the Native American people, became legend. So much so that in 2015, this magnificent sculpture called Kindred Spirits by Alex Pentek was unveiled in Middleton, Ireland, which is in southern County Cork. Now, the city of Cork was the major embarkation port during the famine. It depicts 9 20-foot-tall steel eagle feathers arranged in a delicate circle, which makes it at once powerful and yet fragile. As the sculptor himself explained, quote, "This monument represents this time of great instability, but it also represents this great moment of compassion, unity, and strength." Now, in recent months, this long-distance connection has been renewed. As we all know, the spread of the COVID-19 virus was and is especially hard on our neighbors in the Navajo and Hopi reservations. As I speak to you, there is an ongoing fundraising campaign in Ireland which has raised and donated over $2.5 million to help them cope with the current pandemic. This honors the memory of that remarkable 19th century gesture of unfiltered humanity, born of shared suffering and extraordinary empathy. And I am reminded of the classic Irish Claddagh ring design. 2 hands holding a heart with a crown, an Irish crown, on top of it. The hands represent friendship, crown, loyalty, and the heart, love. As our Irish-American president, John F. Kennedy, once said, quote, "The war against hunger is truly mankind's war of liberation," unquote. In that spirit, I ask you to donate to help feed the hungry in our area. Thank you. Or, as the Irish say, Gurav ma agut.
Thank you so much, Michael. I think we can take inspiration from that. If the Irish people on the other side of the world can raise $2 million to help the Navajo, I hope you're all donating like crazy to the Sedona Food Bank right here. We have another cultural experience of food, and I'm going to give this quote before we go there. This is from Cesar Chavez, and he said, "If you really want to make a friend, go to someone's house and eat with them. The people who give you their food give you their heart." Now, here's a song that Steve's going to introduce us to, which I think addresses some of that. Right, Steve? Over to you.
Well, this is a different kind of experience and a different kind of food. This song was done by Nat King Cole back in the 40s. It was also done by Louis Armstrong, Ella Fitzgerald, and most recently Diana Krall. It's about a special type of food with a special type of sauce called Frim Fram sauce. French fried potatoes, red ripe tomatoes, I'm never satisfied. I want the Frim Fram sauce with the awesome and chihuahua on the side. I don't want pork chops and bacon, that won't awaken my appetite inside. I want the Frim Fram sauce with the awesome and chihuahua on the side. Well, a fella really got to eat, and a fella should eat right. cakes and rye bread. You heard what I said. Waiter, please serve my pride. I want the frim sauce with an awesome pinch of papa on the side. Well, a fella really got to eat, and a fella should eat right. 5 will get you 10. I'm gonna feed myself right tonight. I don't mind fish cakes and rye bread. You heard what I said. Waiter, please serve my pride. I want the frim sauce with the awesome and chipapa on the side. I want the frim sauce with the awesome and chipapa on the side.
Thank you guys so much. I hope you're all really enjoying these artists, and let's remember why they're here. They're here to entertain you, but also to help convince you to donate to the food bank. Press that button, do whatever you can. And Carl and Al did such a great job with their chicken. It looked delicious. We're gonna go back and see what they did with their side dishes and garnish.
So what's great about this menu is now you can prepare your side dish of the marsala, wine, sauteed basmati rice, mushrooms, freshly sliced pear,
Use a pear, we're gonna slice this.
freshly chopped sage, a little bit of scallion, and toasted slivered almonds.
Yummy. Butter makes everything better. So welcome back. So we basically have cooked the mushrooms, and we've added the fresh scallions, and we did the
Not the scallions. Did you add those?
Yep, added scallions and the sage, right?
Yeah, the sage, the freshly
Yes,
chopped
and the sage. I was making sure I was right there.
And so this is pre-cooked basmati rice, which you can also prepare ahead of time. I don't think we need all of this, but quite a bit.
But a good amount.
Carl eats a lot. We're gonna eat this dinner afterwards, so yeah.
So we let all the savory and all of that really nice butter soak into the rice. You want to stir it?
And the
Stir
key
it.
ingredient,
Oh yeah, we need the key ingredient. Here it comes.
marsala
Da-da-da.
wine. You can get it at Whole Foods. It's great.
Should I shoot some real quick?
No, you won't like it.
Ew.
No.
How much should we put in? There?
It's a very subtle flavor. I'm sure you've all heard of chicken marsala, which I make a great dish of, but it's pretty labor intensive. And this
Smell
is
it.
way
You could
ahead.
smell this. Oh, it smells really good. It smells yummy.
It's a nutty,
Good choice.
savory.
Good choice.
It's good. Turn the heat up on high.
Yes, high heat, and we're gonna let that sit for like what, 5 to 7 minutes?
What you serve with this as an accompaniment is a condiment, and it's a take on a chutney. And it is whole cranberry sauce, coarsely chopped avocado that's not too green and not too ripe, and red pepper flakes, and some more of the toasted sliver almonds. It's delish.
Beautiful.
So I'll put that together and we'll show you what that looks like. The accompaniment.
Are you gonna say welcome back first?
Hey, welcome back. While we're waiting for the chicken to finish in the oven and the rice, this is what I put together for the chutney, quote unquote chutney. But it's freshly cubed avocado, toasted almonds, slivered, cranberry sauce, and also the key ingredient, red pepper flakes.
Yes. And again, we wash our
It
hands
is
thoroughly first
so good
before we
with the
touch
chicken.
any of this.
So just wanted to show you that. Those are the key ingredients. You can, again, alter it however you like. If you don't know avocado, don't put it in there. If you like different nuts, I many times put walnuts in it, which is really good too, and pecans works too. So hazelnuts, anything you want.
You're very seasoned with this. Look at you. And we'll be back. So while Al's over there in the kitchen, so we just took the beautiful chicken wrapped broccoli out of the oven. Doesn't it look yummy? So right now we are gonna get ready. We're gonna do some deep fried sage. So we decided to add a nice little twist to it. All you chefs out there are gonna enjoy this. You'll know what we're doing. Deep fried sage.
Ooh. Now we're gonna add a little garnish.
Hold on, we gotta go back and introduce the chicken first.
Didn't we do that?
No, we didn't yet.
Whatever.
Okay, let's continue. Go ahead.
So, fresh sage from my garden, and we put it into hot oil. And it's perfect.
Fried sage.
Get a little plate out, Carl.
I shall, Alvin.
Do not call me that. You'll get a divorce. This is so good.
By the way, any of you that want to ever come to my K-Fit classes, you can get all this and more like every Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday at 5:30 p.m. by the way. K-Fit, right, Al? Since we're allowed to we're allowed to put in any kind of little tidbit we want.
So the perfect time to take this out is when the sizzling stops. You go a little beyond and it will taste good.
Yeah, I don't want that. We want it to taste good.
Isn't that beautiful?
That looks beautiful.
Yeah.
And now you let it cool for a little bit.
So we're ready to plate. We'll be back when it's plated. And so we're here.
Welcome back.
Yeah, so we are here with the completed entree. The sauteed basmati, I can tell you it's better with wild rice, but I couldn't get it because of the COVID situation. The roulade with chicken, perfectly prepared, and the cranberry chutney. So it's a great dish compared by two great competitors and friends.
Good job, Al.
So food is about more than physical sustenance. As you could see from those two guys cooking together, they're friends, they have fun, they enjoy being in the kitchen. So a lot of our sharing of food is about family and about how we help. He says, the heart is cooking a pot of food for you. Be patient until it is cooked. We put our hearts into our cooking. We now have 3 very different stories about food as more than just physical sustenance, beginning with a story read by Tara Shellman.
The Last Chinese Chef by Nicole Moniz, 2008. Maggie McElroy, a recently widowed American food writer, finds herself in China writing a profile about a chef who is the last in a line of legendary chefs leading back to the Imperial Palace. Tasty excerpt. She plucked a morsel from the right side of the bird, low on the breast where the moistness of the thigh came in, and tasted it. It was soft as velvet, chicken ×3, shot through with the ginger and a note of onion. Small sticks of bones, their essence exhausted, crumbled in her mouth. She passed them into her hand and dropped them on the plate. But it's perfect, she said. All chicken should be cooked that way all the time. I may never have tasted anything so good. Thank you, I said. I mean it, she said. She bit into another piece, succulent, soft, perfected. It made her melt with comfort. It put a roof over her head and a patterned warmth around her, so that even though all her anguish was still with her, it became, for a moment, something she could bear. She closed her eyes in a bliss of relief. She finished and passed out the bones. Are you going to make this for your banquet? She said. No, he said. I made this for you. She looked up quickly. These flavors are for you right now, he explained, to benefit you. Ginger and cilantro and chives, they're very powerful, very healing. Healing of what? She said and put her chopsticks down. She felt his human force suddenly, as if he were standing quite close to her instead of sitting across the counter. She sat up in apprehension. "Grief," he said. "Grief." The unpleasant nest of everything she felt pressed up against the surface. Sadness, shame, anger. Anger at Matt. Anger at Sam for presuming, for intruding. Gratitude to Sam for those same things. Her voice, when it came out, it sounded bewildered. "You're treating me for grief?" "No," he insisted. "I'm cooking for you. There's a difference."
Like Water for Chocolate by Laura Esquivel. Chapter 1, January. Chart Noiro ingredients. 1 can of R 0 inches, 1/2 chore oregano, 1 can of chittage, and 10 haro waro. Preparation. Take care to chop the onion fine, to keep from crying when you chop it, which is so annoying. I suggest you place a little bit on your head. The trouble with crying over an onion is that once the chopping gets started and the tears begin to well up, the next thing you know, you just can't stop. I don't know whether that's ever happened to you, but I have to confess it's happened to me many times. Mama used to say it was because I was especially sensitive to onions, like my great aunt, Tita. Tita was so sensitive to onions, anytime they were being chopped, they say she would just cry and cry. When she was still in my great-grandmother's belly, her sobs were so loud that even Nancha, the cook, who was half deaf, could easily hear them. Once her wailing got so violent that it brought on an early labor. And before my great-grandmother could let out a word or even a whimper, Tita made her entrance into this world prematurely, right there on the kitchen table, amid the smells of simmering noodle soup, thyme, bay leaves, and cilantro, steamed milk, garlic, and, of course, onions. Tita had no need for the usual slap on the bottom because she was already crying as she emerged. The way Nancha told it, Tita was literally washed into this world on a great tide of tears that spilled over the edge of the table and flooded across the kitchen floor. Thanks to her unusual birth, Tita felt a deep love for the kitchen, where she spent most of her life from the day she was born. When she was only 2 days old, Tita's father, my great-grandfather, died of a heart attack. And Mama Elena's milk dried up from the shock. Since there was no such thing as powdered milk in those days, and they couldn't find a wet nurse anywhere, they were in a panic as to how to satisfy the infant's hunger. Nancha, who knew everything about cooking, offered to take charge of the feeding Tita. She felt she had the best chance of educating the innocent child's stomach, even though she had never had children. Though she didn't know how to read or write, when it came to cooking, she knew everything there was to know. Mama Elena accepted her offer gratefully. She had enough to do between her mourning and the enormous responsibility of running the ranch. And it was the ranch that would provide her children the food and education they deserved, without having to worry about feeding a newborn baby on top of everything else. From that day on, baby Tita's domain was the kitchen, where she grew vigorous and healthy on a diet of teas and thin corn gruels. This explains the sixth sense Tita developed about everything concerning food. Her eating habits, for example, were attuned to the kitchen routine. Sometimes she would cry for no reason at all, like when Nansha chopped onions. But since they both knew the cause of those tears, they didn't pay much mind. They made them a source of entertainment. So that during her childhood, Tita didn't distinguish between tears of laughter and tears of sorrow. Likewise, for Tita, the joy of living was wrapped up in the delights of food. It wasn't easy for a person whose knowledge of life was based on the kitchen to comprehend the outside world. That world was an endless expanse that began at the door between the kitchen and the rest of the house, whereas everything on the kitchen side of that door, on through the door leading to the patio and the kitchen and herb gardens, was completely hers. It was her realm.
Hello, my name is Gary Every, and I'm here to talk to you about the tradition of Last Suppers. You already know what I'm talking about, where everybody is seated on one side of the table. You got Jesus and all the apostles there. We've been painting these pictures for decade after decade, century after century, for 2 millennia now. It's given all the great masters their chance at doing Last Supper portraits. Some of the pretty good masters, a lot of mediocre painters, even some terrible painters have given their all at trying to do Last Supper portraits. And it turns out that the order you line up the apostles and their different gestures and expressions, it all has deep philosophical and theological implications, none of which I'm really interested in. What does interest me is this thing I read by an art historian. He says that over the centuries, over the millennia, there has been a gradual progression of more and more food on the Last Supper table. And it's a steady progression. It's not like some guy in the 1600s creates this giant feast. Somebody in the 1700s puts them on a diet, and then they get to feast again in the 1800s. Oh no, it's just this gradual increase in the amount of food. For instance, the wine glasses. There are more wine glasses on the Last Supper table than ever before, and they're all slightly bigger. And since we have more glasses, we need more pitchers of wine to fill them. There are loaves of bread, and yes, I said loaves, that is plural, until there's little pyramids of wonderfully fresh-baked goodness on that Last Supper table. And by now, it won't surprise you to hear that there are more and more plates on the Last Supper table. And those plates are getting bigger and bigger, with more and more food upon them. And yet, despite the bountiful feasts on all these Last Supper tables, none of the apostles or Jesus himself have ever gained an ounce. You know, can you imagine the advertisements for that? Hurry, 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 today, today, today. Come and eat at the Last Supper cafe and buffet. Eat all you want and never gain a pound. Oh, the line would just stretch around the block, wouldn't it? Well, what does it say in the our most iconic representation of dining together as a civilization that there has steadily been an increase of more and more food? It means that we are beginning to kick famine's ass. It means that the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse are not visiting your village as often as they used to. Right now, our planet produces more than enough food to feed every single human being on it. There is no reason for anybody to go hungry anymore. There is only a problem with distribution. And when you say it out loud like that, simple and slow, stating the facts, it almost sounds criminal, doesn't it? There is no reason for anybody on our beautiful planet to go hungry anymore. There is more than enough food. There is only a problem with distribution. So here's what I'd like to propose. We've been doing this Last Supper thing for about 2,000 years. Don't you think maybe it's time we changed it up a little, got it right? We've got a whole side of the table that's not being used and more food than we've ever had before. Maybe it's time to put some more chairs around that table. Invite some more people to eat until everybody is fed. In fact, maybe instead of continuing to have Last Suppers, maybe it's time to have a First Supper. A supper where everybody gets to sit at the table. A table where everybody is well fed and welcome. Thank you.
This song is called I Am Your Mother Earth, and I wrote it as a mother and how I like my children to come back and visit me, and I also like to prepare food for them, and how our earth gives us every single thing, everything we eat, everything we have. So here it is. I am the fabric in which you dress. I am the bed on which you rest. I am your chair. I am your roof. I gave you everything. I gave you cars and concrete, buildings, trains, and planes. I gave you all the tools to create these things. And I've watched you grow with love, been amazed at what you can do, but you've also made a mess, and it's time to clean your room. Come back, come back, come back to where you're from. Come back, come back. Mm-hmm. Come back, come back, come back to where you're from. I am your Mother Earth, and I just want you to come home. I am your Mother Earth, and I just want you to come home. Ooh, ooh. Ooh, ooh. I am the flowers that you see. I am the fruit, I am the tree. I gave you nuts, I gave you grains, I gave you seeds. I gave you everything you grow, simple, pure, and clean, to keep your body whole. Come home and eat with me. Come back, come back, come back to where you're from. Come back, come back. Mm-hmm. Come back, come back, come back to where you're from. I am your Mother Earth, and I just want you to come home. I am your Mother Earth, and I just want you to come home. Ooh, ooh. Ooh, ooh. And I am you, and you are me, and we are not separate. So relax, kick off your shoes, stay a little while. My birds will sing for you a welcome home. And let me hold you in my arms beneath the night light of the moon, and the ache inside my heart will be gone. Come back, come back, come back to where you're from. Come back, come back. Come back to where you're from. I am your Mother Earth, and I just want you to come home. I am your Mother Earth, and I just want you to come home. Ooh, ooh. Ooh, ooh. Thank you.
So I don't know if you all know that besides feeding almost 200 families a week, the food bank sends home emergency packs with kids who may not have food over the weekend. They feed the homebound elderly because they can't leave their house. They create holiday meals at Christmas and at Thanksgiving for families who can't afford to do so. They can do none of that without your help. So please, please take this time to donate. Press that button, drop off cans of food, whatever you can do. And we're gonna go full circle right now to kids in the kitchen, and we're gonna see if these kids were as harsh judges to Carl and Al as the can judges were. So take a look.
You wanna go ahead and cut them something?
Yeah, the acid test for great food is with kids.
Right here.
So we're gonna see. And Liam, you're supposed to love it.
It's chicken.
Oh.
What's your first reaction?
Special.
All right, here we go. We got Mia.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's not yummy, but it's good.
Yeah. So you want to try it with a little bit of the chutney?
How's the chicken?
Do you like cranberries?
I like it.
Yay!
High five.
Do you like avocado?
Is it good?
I hate it.
Awesome.
So
Hold on, we're not there yet. We still have to try the cranberry. Oh.
It's okay, it washes.
No, it's not his piece.
All right, hold on.
That one is.
Here, I'll get you. I'll get you a little.
I guess.
Here, Mia. Here. You gotta get a little.
No, it's okay.
Yeah.
Try that. Didn't want that?
I want
I'll try it.
dessert.
So it was great. We love you all. We're gonna eat.
Adios.
Yeah.
Later.
Have a good night.
So, thank you again for being here. And because we're getting to the end of our show, I'm going to say one more time, if you want to be one of those people who feeds your children, feeds other people's children, donate right now. Now is the time I get to say thank you to some amazing people. Tracy, do you want to add anything?
No, thank you. Well, thank you to Carl and Al who
Yes.
spent time doing
Yes.
that. It was greatly
That was-
appreciated.
That's the first big thank you to Carl
Yes,
and Al.
thank you so much for taking the time to do that. It was harder than it looks. And thank you for the techs who put that all together for us.
And I want to say something about how this is working for those of you who are not where we are. So we have this amazing Sedona Media Services right here, and they've set up cameras and microphones all over the place. And they've very kindly given us a TV so that we can see the video that you all just saw. The thing is, you saw it with sound.
Yeah.
We watched them cook in complete silence, which is very interesting.
I did watch before. They banter. It's actually pretty funny because they argue all the time, like brothers.
Real cooks do?
Yeah,
Good.
yeah, exactly.
So I want to thank the tech people for making that work. I want to thank Red Earth's sponsors. I want to thank Sovereign Laboratories, who gave us a very generous sum of money to do quilters this year, which we had to cancel. So they've allowed us to move it to support our online play project shows, of which this is one. We have done 10 of them. Every week for 10 weeks, we have done a show on Thursday nights, and we're happy to be doing it here at Tulakipaki. I want to thank Larry Kane, who takes our amazing photos. And I really want to introduce you to all these actors. So we're going to kind of move out of the way, and I'm going to begin by introducing Sandy Shenholm, Michael Gallagher, Gary Avery, Steve Sandner, Jill Trenholm, Tara Shellman, and Joan Westmoreland. So these are the amazing people who are giving their time to do this show. And again, please, please, please donate. Remember, what happens with this is Red Earth Theatre takes all of our live streams and we turn them into videos. So it would be neatly edited with credits and things, and you can find it on the Red Earth YouTube channel for the rest of perpetuity until all the computers blow up. It will be there. So you can go anytime and make a donation. It's not just today. If you wake up in the morning and think, dang, I missed it. No, you didn't. You can make a donation anytime. Please do. Next week, we'll be live streaming from the Zoom platform, which I'm the tech person for, and I really don't like it. I'd much rather do it with Ron and Angelo. So to finish, I've got just a little something I'm going to say to finish with, but once again, I do want to thank all these beautiful performers. And I want to recognize one more thing. Can we zoom the camera in on this? These amazing things were made by Steve Janess. Steve Janess is our backstage, make everything happen person. And he created these for us. So there's the Sedona Food Bank loaf of bread. He didn't do fishes, but we have the loaf of bread. And then we have the Red Earth Theater cake, which is just extraordinary. This was a gift that appeared last night's rehearsal. These are the kind of things that make community when we come together and create together. So thank you, Steve, for that. I'm not quite sure where I'm going to put the cake, but I will find a place. And I want to leave you with this last thought. We are all seated at the table. Life is, they say, a smorgasbord. We are fed by food, yes, and also by nature, the arts, the people with whom we gather at the table, the community. Like a potluck gathering, we arrive at the table, we bring a dish, and we share it. The table at which we gather is more than one in the house, it's more than one in the backyard, it's more than the one at the campsite. It is the entire society in which we live. So please, yes, donate to the food bank. Actual, literal food is needed. However, and so is sustenance of community. Seated at this huge, long, wide, maybe even circular table are those with whom we're already familiar and those we see from afar. The ones who sing and sing songs as we do, and the ones whose lyrics disturb us. The immediate family with whom we are comfortable and we laugh at the same jokes, and the strangers with whom we are awkward or afraid. We are all at the table, and our lives go through the same stages of love and loss, hope and despair, and all of us are worthy of respect, support, and love. So, as you set your table and invite others to share it, or when you're seated at another's table, or when you look across at a table you don't fully recognize, offer your potluck dish. No matter how small it may be, if it is presented with an open heart, it will feed multitudes, nurturing yourself as well as others. So donate to the food bank, feed your community, and create a society that shares the table with everybody. Thank you. And now Steve is going to play us out. But he might. Yes. Thank you. And we can all mingle off. Thank you. Thank you. You go, Bob. Thank you. Good job. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.